for a morning of all-you-can-eat buffet and more than you can take Disney All-Stars. Children shrieked gleefully as a parade of Disney characters danced one by one up to our table, posing for Polaroids and generally spreading the magic. All I could think about was the poor bastards in those hot costumes having to get hyped up for another character breakfast. My dad looked at tall, lanky, 13-year-old me in that sea of Disney, about the same size as Goofy by then, and just started laughing. I joined right in. Not quite how I'd dreamed it all those years ago. A dad is supposed to take his kid to Disney World. He's supposed to get his kid baptized. Mine did, eventually. A dad is supposed to send his kid to camp to teach him how to fish, to grill, and to drive stick. Mine did, kind of. A dad's supposed to talk to his son about the birds and the bees, the value of $1, and responsible drinking. My dad and I had most of those talks. Well, some of them. Okay, we didn't have a single one of those father-son talks. My dad grew up in the middle of the stoic Midwest in a time and place where you didn't sit down and talk about your feelings a whole lot. I'm guessing 1950s Champaign, Illinois was not a lucrative place to be a shrink. I never heard the fatherly phrase, "Sit down, Willie, your mother and I would like to talk to you." My relationship with my dad has always been based on laughter. We tend to avoid the other stuff, even when it's big stuff. But that's what this book is for. We're going back to cover our father-son bases retroactively. Better late than never, right? Kind of like baptizing your kid when he's 19 years old.
Chapter 1. The Birds and the Bees, of which we dared not speak. Bill. Sorry I never got around to having that talk with you about the birds and the bees, Willie. For openers, I didn't want you contradicting me. I worried that you knew more about this subject than I did. They'd begun teaching it in elementary school, and if the surveys were accurate, the practical field exercises began shortly thereafter. On the other hand, how many fathers actually have the talk? I'd like to see a survey on that. At what moment do you have it? At what age? Where? Should it involve an AV component? I envisioned our talk occurring naturally, maybe at a rough-hewn picnic table in the woods, with chipmunks scampering about, a pair of cooing lovebirds perched side by side on a tree branch, and Bambi turning to look on. Very mellow, like a stool softener commercial. But we never went in the woods. I'd heard of dads who just turned the whole thing over to their parish priests. But what do priests know? Don't answer that. And wouldn't it have felt awkward asking our local Catholic priest to provide you with sex education when we were Presbyterian? And by the way, why the birds and the bees? There's the whole pollination thing with bees, I guess, what with your stamens and your pistils and all that. But birds? I've never seen robins screwing, have you? A little French beaking, maybe. Now you take dogs that talk about 2 dogs in the backyard and the bees. Now that might make sense. Or the bunnies and the bees. I must have figured the big talk wasn't necessary after we took that family vacation drive through X-rated lion country. Where to begin? What to say? I didn't want to be overly juvenile. You see, son, when a man and a woman fall in love and get married, sometimes they sleep in the same bed. And if it's a double or even a queen size, they sometimes get too close and dad's dipping sauce gets on mom's bloomin' onion, and they make a baby. Nor did I want the talk to be too advanced. Now you may hear other kids on the playground, on the jungle gym, or the big slide, or wherever, refer to BDSM. Well, the B is for... Maybe I should be more direct. You know that stork delivering the baby story? It's bullshit. My father never had the talk with me. I would have hated that so much. We didn't do talks. The closest thing to it was my mother's leaving an obtuse church pamphlet in my room when I was about 15, which was plenty early, as it turned out. The pamphlet set forth the rules of sexual conduct. Sex was definitely restricted to a man and a woman, only one each. Married, in a church. Intercourse was to be conducted in the missionary position with the lights off. And not for fun, for family. If you could manage to avoid the act altogether, so much the better. Hey, Mary and Joseph pulled it off. Oh, and nothing with the suffix job or style. These rules were from God. For the most part, kids learn about the birds and the bees.